All right, let's tackle the big question on everyone's mind. Can a PC that most of us can actually afford run the brand new, super demanding Borderlands 4? The official specs? Well, they say no way. But you know what? We're going to find out.
So let's set the stage for this hardware showdown. In one corner, you've got this absolute monster of a game built on Unreal Engine 5. And in the other corner, a PC build that, let's be honest, is probably a lot like what you're running right now.
And this is where the trouble starts. The official minimum specs for Borderlands 4? They're asking for an 8-core processor. Our PC only has 6. So right out of the gate on paper, we are set up to fail. This shouldn't work.
And just to make things a little spicier, the developers themselves basically came out and said, hey, maybe lower your expectations. When the people who made the game say that before it even launches, well, you're in for a ride. Okay, so let's meet our contender, our hero for today. It's a really smart, sensible build for 2025. We're talking an Intel i5-12400F, that's our 6-core CPU, an NVIDIA RTX 4060, and 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. This is a super popular setup, right? A huge part of the PC gaming community is running something just like this. So the big question is, can it survive Borderlands 4?
Okay, before we even dive into the benchmarks, I have to stop and tell you about something crucial and, honestly, kind of bizarre. We found this right at the start of testing, and it's a trick that completely changes the game.
So let me ask you this. What if I told you that you could get an instant 10% FPS boost for free, without lowering your resolution, without touching a single quality setting? Sounds impossible, right? Like it shouldn't work.
Well, check this out. With upscaling completely turned off, at native 1080p, we're getting around 54 frames per second. But, and this is the crazy part, if you turn on an upscaler like DLSS, but keep the resolution set to native, the frame rate jumps to over 60. It's like the game's engine is just built to run through these upscaling pipelines. It's so weird. You actually get worse performance by turning it off.
So here's the big takeaway for you. The first thing you should do when you boot up this game. Go into the settings, enable your upscaler, DLSS, FSR, whatever you've got. Then just set the quality mode to full resolution or whatever the equivalent is. It's a simple 2-step trick and boom, free performance.
All right, with that bizarre little trick in our back pocket, it is time to put this PC through the ringer. We're going to test low, medium, and high settings, and we're starting right at the bottom.
So on the low preset, and using that native DLSS trick we just talked about, we're hitting our target, about 60 frames per second on average. That's a solid start, right? But look at that last column, occasional dips. The trouble's already starting to brew.
And yeah, that pretty much sums up the whole experience on Loda. When you're just walking around, exploring, butter smooth. But the second a big fight kicks off, with enemies and explosions everywhere, the game just gets inconsistent. You can feel the cracks starting to show. Okay, now we're moving up to the medium preset, and something weird happens. To keep the performance high, we've switched to DLSS balanced. And look at that, our average frame rate actually goes up to around 70 FPS. But that consistency column, those drops aren't occasional anymore. Now they're frequent.
Here's the thing about the Borderlands art style. The visuals, they just don't feel like they should be this demanding, right? But with all that said, this medium preset is kind of the sweet spot. It looks great, and even with the stutters, it's a very playable, good-looking experience. And finally, we push it all the way to the high preset. Just to claw our way back to a 60 FPS average, we have to lean hard on DLSS in performance mode. And that stuttering problem we've been talking about? Yeah, it's not frequent anymore. Now it's persistent. It's just always there, kind of ruining the smooth feeling.
So across all of our tests, we've seen the exact same pattern. A pretty good average frame rate, but this frustrating, inconsistent feel. So what is really going on here? Who's the real villain causing all these stutters?
I mean, this is the key question, right? The little FPS counter in the corner says 60, maybe even 70, but our eyes, they're telling us a completely different story. The numbers just don't match the feeling of actually playing the game. So why?
And here it is. Here's our culprit. While that RTX 4060 is just cruising along doing its job, the CPU is getting absolutely hammered. We're talking 90% utilization during gameplay frequently. Our little 6-core processor is being pushed to its absolute limit.
Folks, this is a textbook classic CPU bottleneck. Your processor just can't feed information to your powerful graphics card fast enough. And the result is exactly what we've been seeing. Those annoying stutters and performance drops even when the average frame rate looks high. The GPU is sitting there ready to go, but the CPU can't get the next frame ready in time. Okay, so we've seen the problem, we know the cause. What's the final verdict? What is the absolute best way to set this game up so you can have a good time on this kind of PC?
Here you go. This is our recommended battle plan. Stick with the medium visual preset. It's a huge visual jump from low, but it doesn't push the CPU over the edge. Then you want to pair that with DLSS set to balanced. That combination right there, that's going to give you the best possible mix of good looks and playable performance.
So, at the end of the day, the big takeaway is this. Your RTX 4060, it's totally fine. It can handle this game no problem. The real issue, the real bottleneck, is that 6-core CPU, just like the developers warned us. You can absolutely have a fantastic time playing this game, but you just have to go in knowing it's not going to be a perfectly smooth, locked-in experience. And that really leaves us with a huge question, doesn't it? Is this it? Is the era of the 6-core CPU for gaming over? Is 8 cores the new mandatory minimum for PC gaming? Or is this just an optimization problem that maybe future patches could fix? Well, I guess only time is going to tell. Thanks for joining me on this one.